Well, everyone, welcome back to a very exciting episode of the Storybox podcast. Today, I'm delighted to welcome a pioneer in the health and fitness industry. She's written almost, or we'll say 37 books, but really, who's counting? Her name is Anne-Louise Gittleman. Now, for those of you that don't know who this incredible lady is, she's a trend-setting pioneer in the health and healing arena. She holds an MS in nutrition education from Columbia University, the title of Certified Nutrition Specialist from the American College of Nutrition, and a PhD in Holistic Nutrition. The award-winning author of more than 37 books, we'll say, including several New York Times bestsellers. Louise has also served as the chief nutritionist of the pediatric clinic in, is that correct?
Correct. Lovely.
Thank you. I didn't want to get that wrong. Bellevue Hospital in
New York.
New York. Fantastic. She is also a highly respected international leader in diet, nutrition, and she has a new book out, which I'm delighted to show to you. If those of you that are watching the YouTube video now, it's called Radical Longevity, and I'll read out the below segment for you. The powerful plan to sharpen your brain, strengthen your body, and reverse the symptoms of aging, which I think we all want in our life today. No one wants to get old, but today, welcome so much, Anne-Louise Gittleman, to the Storybox podcast today.
Thank you so much, Jane. What a pleasure to be with you here in Sydney, Australia.
You're across the world in Idaho right now, and I'm in Sydney, Australia, yet we're able to connect. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you and have you here on the show today. I can't believe that I am super excited to have you here because I love talking about this stuff. Health.
Oh, I love it too.
Health, wellness, you name it. Before we dive into all that good stuff, though, I normally start off all my conversations with one particular question I think you might like, which is, what does success look like for you?
Oh, what a wonderful question. I think success looks like really impacting the life of millions of people so that they can be healthier, they can be happier, and they can be experiencing more joy in their lives, and they can be together in their body, mind, and spirit.
That's a beautiful definition. When was the moment for you and that you realized this for yourself? Was this a gradual thing over time, or was there more of a catalyst moment somewhere in your life?
I think it was the catalyst of the 18th book. I was an overnight success with number 18. I'd been writing books for years, and all of a sudden one of the books really took off, and that was the Fat Flush Plan. And I realized how potent and how powerful a diet and lifestyle program could be for the health of millions. So we sold millions of copies. People went on the internet miracle diet, which is what it was called. And lo and behold, I was able to influence thousands of upcoming nutritionists, health coaches, and doctors all over the world. So that was really my aha book, as it were.
So did you ever think growing up that you would actually be doing this sort of work, that you'd be writing best-selling books, that you'd be in the health and nutrition sphere?
No, I never did.
What did you plan on doing?
I wanted to be a lawyer.
Really? What was your mindset around wanting to be a lawyer? Where did that come from?
I have a great sense of justice, fairness, really representing the underdog. So I think I do that in some ways with the work that I'm doing in health and healing, but this came kind of later in life. I was in college majoring I was majoring actually in English and religion at that point. So I went through many different ideologies, so to speak, many different developmental stages. And I happened to walk in on a conversation between two co-eds who were talking about a book by Adele Davis, who was the only voice of nutritional wisdom in the early 70s. And there was something about the concept of Adele Davis and people that didn't have to get older if they didn't want to, handling stress with ease, and really figuring out the underlying causes of all degenerative disease that really touched my soul. So I began reading all of her work and then everything else that was out there. And lo and behold, that's when my life took on a different direction. So I was overhearing a conversation. It was all about a conversation.
I like that. And so you studied in university, health and nutrition, did you find it easy for you to retain, or was it sort of difficult and challenging for you?
Well, I was an English and drama and religion major. I forgot about the drama part. So I used to memorize all the time for plays and musical comedy. And so it wasn't difficult, but I had to go back to school to get all of my biochemistry. So I went back to school in the early 70s and then graduated with a degree as a dietetic intern, and then did an internship in some of the hospitals in New York. I was in Harlem, I was in the Queens area. And then for some reason, I decided to apply to Teachers College at Columbia, and I was accepted in their nutrition education department. And after that, I went on to Bellevue. So my career really took off after Columbia. It was just a developmental thing. And I think the fates smiled on me because I was able to really sit at the feet of some really wonderful teachers at that point.
Do you have a remembrance of one particular teacher that sort of stands out to you the most? They taught you, I guess you could say, something that you hold dear to your heart today?
Yeah, she was the 84-year-old teacher that I met when I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I went for a class called The 5 Days That Would Change Your Life. Her name was Dr. Hazel Parcells. She was considered the grand dame of alternative medicine. And I was a very young girl. I was about 25 at the time, walked into her class and was there for 5 days, mesmerized. Jay, she was 84 years young at that point, years young, because she was holding court from 7 in the morning till 9 at night without stopping. The only time she would take a break was when one of her assistants walked in and said, "The Queen is on the phone, doctor. Can you take the call?" And she'd have to excuse herself. So she was really dealing with heads of state back in the 70s. She was working with the FBI. You cannot imagine what a teacher she was. And I learned to look at underlying causes of disease even way back then when nobody was looking at underlying causes. And I haven't stopped looking since.
My goodness. I love how you said 84 years young. And
she was. And so what a role model. And so writing this book, Radical Longevity, I have a role model that you don't stop at 84. You've just begun, because that's when I began learning and really apprenticing with her at the feet of the master. She died at 106 with all of her faculties. I believe she died of a broken heart, to be honest with you.
Oh, that is sad.
Tragic. I never thought she would die, to be very honest.
So some people are like that. I'm curious, why can some people get to 106, whereas other people only get to, say, the age of 60 or 70?
Well, genetics plays a role, not as big a role as we used to think, but genetics could play a role. The lack of social connection in their lives, social connection and connectivity is exceedingly important. Lack of getting up in the morning and having a purpose. Now, you don't have to be working, but you have to have a purpose, whether that's volunteerism or actually going into an office 9 to 5. You need to be exercising, and you need to be eating properly, because in this day and time, you really can't take a chance on a lot of the foods that are out there. There's no such thing as eating whatever your heart desires. You have to restrict your eating, practice a little intermittent fasting, a little cleansing, a little detox. And I think people are missing one of those 4 particular traits.
So I can't eat ice cream or indulge in sugar every single day for the rest of my life and expect to live to 106?
Well, some people do, indulging in all kinds of things, quite frankly, because the gene gods have looked kindly upon them, and they do all kinds of things. But I think for those of us born, in the 20th century, it's not quite as easy. So you can indulge once in a while. It's what you do every day that counts, not what you do once in a while. That's the issue.
So speaking about genetics and the day and age that we live in today, with all the technology, with all the advancements, is there a way that we are able to change our genetics so that we can live longer at a particular age, or are we stuck with them?
No, you can change. You can definitely change. You can override everything through the new science of epigenetics that I talk about in the book. And the idea is that your biology should not be your biography, and your DNA is not your destiny. the environment kind of pulls the trigger. The DNA loads the gun, but the environment pulls the trigger. So that if you can kind of quench the systemic inflammation that's so prevalent in this day and age with all the toxins in the environment, if you can eat properly, get some connectivity in your life, have a purpose, I think you have a really good chance of outliving your genetic predispositions. I mean, I have 3 detox pathways that are blocked out of the 4 that we have been blessed with. And I've been able to do it at the age of 70. And I intend to do that because it's mind over matter. It's also having a miracle mindset that is so important. It's attitude more than anything else.
I love this. And one thing that you mentioned there that I wholeheartedly believe in is the purpose element. And what I want to ask you, Anne, is firstly, what is your purpose in life? And secondly, how can people find their own purpose in their life so then they are able to live longer?
Oh, these are easy questions, Jay. Very easy questions. So the purpose, I think, is to be a way shower, to show the way in terms of health and healing. From what I've learned, I've studied with masters. Many people in my position haven't had the ability to study with a Hazel Parcells, with a Nathan Pritikin, with a Dr. Atkins, and I was working very closely with Dr. Robert Atkins as well of the Atkins diet. So I want to share their wisdom as well. And I think it's important for everybody to make an individual decision about their purpose in life. What may be my purpose may be very different than somebody else. So I think it's only something that's an individual choice. But knowing that you have a purpose, I think, is exceedingly important in extending your youth span.
Why do you think some people actually struggle to find or know that they have a purpose in life?
Because I don't think that they understand the connection between the soul and the higher force. And I think those of us that have some sort of spiritual/religious connection have that intrinsically in our DNA. Right. And many people have lost that connection. And I see it more and more in the mechanized society that we live in.
What is your spiritual practice or your belief system?
You know, it's constantly evolving. I'm very metaphysical. So I would say it's a combination. Gosh, it's very eclectic. A combination of Buddhism and Judaism, together.
So you've meshed them together, and that has helped you become more aligned with your beliefs of purpose, of self, and that helps you, yeah.
Well, I just love what they teach. In Judaism, it's not what you believe, it's what you do. And I love the concept of the Buddha, and it's not what you think, it's what you say, and the importance of kindness being so important. So I love those different aspects. I mean, I had a very religious upbringing, and so I don't necessarily practice as much as I did when I was a child. But a lot of those precepts are part and parcel of what I do in this day and time. The importance of learning, the importance of good work, the importance of doing deeds of loving kindness. And of course, the kind element is where the Buddhism comes into play.
And kindness is also part of a purpose. And this is one of the reasons why I do what I do, is to serve others, to be kind to others, secondly. But ultimately, the best purpose in life is to serve others.
Yes.
Not yourself.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, I'm glad that you don't, because I'm curious about, okay, if we want to live for a very, very long time, you have a proven plan, I believe, in this book. It's quite an extensive book here. If you're watching the video, how can we firstly? So I want to go into the brain and the mind for a moment. How can we keep our mind sharp, for example? And then secondly, is it just exercise, or is diet also a part of keeping our mind sharp, as well as knowing that we have a purpose and keeping that all meshed together?
I think it's a combination of everything that you're talking about. I'm not sure that there's one element that I can extract, and I deal with all those elements of mind, body, and spirit in the brain chapter. But I would say that having a physical regimen, whether that's dancing, whether that's going up and down your stairs 45 times as superagers do, or going out and gardening, and even walking is exceedingly important to get the brain moving. Removing toxins from the brain is also important. And the two toxins that I talk about in great detail that are mentioned in the book are the iron, which likes to stockpile in the brain, and copper, especially the copper from copper pipes. So detoxification, exceedingly helpful. And then, of course, there's a very important element. There's a mineral that I talk about, which is the magic mineral that I'm so pleased that I bumped into with the research, and that is lithium, which can actually not just prevent but reverse Alzheimer's. So lithium is a key regardless of whatever else you do. Diet is important, having blueberries, having broccoli, having beets, the 3 B's, very important. So anything that you can do to clean up your microbiome, which will actually help to clean up your brain, is important. A clean body is a clean brain.
I love broccoli, or broccoli, as I say. People hate me saying broccoli. You got to correct
broccoli. Bring on the broccoli, and bring on the broccoli sprouts and the broccoli seeds, which are very high in sulforaphane, a very important detoxifying substance. So yeah, I mean, diet, there's no question that diet is important. A little bit of coconut oil, very important for the brain. Turmeric, we know, is very important because the Indian people are very long-lived when it comes to not suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia. So there's a lot of things you can do, but I got to tell you something. The research into lithium and what I write about in the book will just blow everybody's mind. It blew me away. And now everybody I know, I insist they take at least 10 to 20 milligrams of lithium a day. That's how important that research is.
Where did you discover that lithium is important for and starving off Alzheimer's disease?
I interviewed a Dr. Greenberg on my podcast, who is a kind of an integrative psychiatrist, that talked about the use of microdosing lithium, not the psychotropic lithium that people take for depression, but the microdosing, and how important that was and what a difference you found in people's well-being. So that started it. And then I did research on my own, and I found that there was a lot of studies in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. There was an article that was written in the New York Times in 2014 where a psychiatrist even said it'd be a good idea for everybody to take a little bit of small dose lithium. And so that gave a kind of carte blanche to the use of this mineral, which is very deficient in many people. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's mind-blowing when you find that there's a little baby mineral there that's not in our diets the way that it should be, that can actually disintegrate some of those neurofibrillary tangles and the beta amyloid plaques that are the keynotes of Alzheimer's. So that was a biggie, and that's what I insist everybody do.
So I've got two questions coming from that. The first one is, if someone was to challenge you on this and say, no, Anne, you're wrong completely, and here's why, what would you say to them? And secondly, we were talking about our DNA and our genetics earlier. Can we stop or literally prevent, if we do have Alzheimer's disease, can we reverse that?
Well, you can with a couple of things. Now, lithium was the magic bullet that I discussed, and anybody that wants to debate that, I mean, they have their opinion, I have mine. The point being is that you have to try every single thing that you can with such a devastating illness. The most devastating illness that baby boomers are the most scared of is Alzheimer's. So you have to do whatever it takes, whether it's 100% research or it's the gold standard or not, to try to stave off such a devastating condition. So it's number one, taking the lithium, number two, cleaning up your diet, number three, having physical exercise every day, and number four, cleaning up the iron in your bloodstream by giving blood regularly, as well as cleaning up the copper in your environment. And all that is discussed in great length in this book.
I was looking through it as well, and I noticed you talk about type 3 diabetes. I didn't know there was such a thing as type 3 diabetes. Is that Alzheimer's disease?
Well, some people have called Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes, yes.
So for those people that don't know what Alzheimer's is, are you able to give people a picture of what it is?
Brain cells, very simplistically, where memories are forgotten and people start to suffer and get progressively worse. And so there's nothing that we know of except for the lithium to actually start reversing that. And that's why it's called the Cinderella mineral.
Cinderella mineral. That's fascinating.
I love that title.
So do I. Is there any place in this book? So for those people that want to pick up a copy now, they can. It's available. They can pick it up at all bookstores. But if I was to turn to any page or chapter in this book that is going to give me, say, the most out of this book, that is going to challenge me, that is going to, give me a renewed perspective on my mindset, you name it, which chapter or page would you recommend that I turn to?
The introduction, number one, which will tweak your interest or pique your interest, I should say. We've got the introduction, and then you've got the appendix with all the charts, Jay, that give the condition you may be wanting to resolve, the targeted vitamins, minerals, and lifestyle practices that I suggest.
You've got, I'm not a big fan of anti-aging right at the start.
No, I think aging is a privilege. It's a privilege denied to many. So I think we have to respect it, but proceed with healthy aging or healthy. I like to say saging. We're all saging, Jay, not aging.
Oh, that's so good. You also talk about in this book how we can reignite our sex life, how we can also reverse hair loss, which I think I don't want to go bald. I don't want to go gray either. Is that just straight from diet again?
No, we use other methods and lifestyle practices. We talk a lot about plasma-rich platelets that you can inject into the hair follicles that I have done in certain little areas. That's number one, the PRP. We talk about stem cells are discussed in the book. And a lot of vitamins and minerals that are more like nutraceuticals rather than just plain vitamins and minerals. So you can take this on any level that you want. For those that can't afford a more expensive procedure, we give them vitamins, minerals, and amino acids. I find what's most important for hair is the health of the thyroid and amino acids.
Do you ever get tired at all, Anne?
I'm hyperactive. I don't really get tired.
So tell me, what time do you get up in the morning and what time do you usually go to bed?
6 o'clock. I go to bed at 10.
What? That is crazy. And what does your day normally look like? Is it like fairly intense, packed out schedule?
It's intense now because we're in full-blown PR mode for this book, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I'm doing 5 interviews today. You're the 5th.
My goodness.
You're one of my favorites, of course, but you are the 5th interview.
Well,
so, I mean, I have a lot of mental energy. Well, what I do find that I'm not doing enough of is actually moving around as much as I should. So I jump up and down 20 times, 3 times a day to get the lymph moving, to get the fascia kind of going in the right direction, to stretch out my joints, my ligaments, my tendons. So I'm a bit of a workaholic, so I have to work on that. That's what my little cross in life is, to get out of work, being such a workaholic, and smell the roses.
If people are watching the video, you can see that I am smiling because this woman is amazing. You're an inspiration. I should not be complaining at all for being tired because, wow, you're inspiring to me. So thank you so much for your time today. I got 2 more questions for you, if you don't mind.
Of course, Jay. You're an absolute pleasure. How old are you?
I am 24 years old, believe it or
not. You're a young pup. You're very mature for your young pup.
Thank you. I love this stuff because I've had my own journey with health, and I'm very curious about how we can either live longer, how we can take better care of ourselves. There's a lot of science out there. There's a lot of knowledge. I love speaking to doctors because doctors have been part of my life for literally my whole life. So I love your message as well. So this is more of a fun question for you.
Fun question. I love fun. Good.
Fun question. What is the weirdest food combination you've ever tried?
Weirdest food combination I've ever tried are sesame seeds, a powdered probiotic, and coconut milk.
That is weird.
Yeah, I'm can be a pretty weird gal, to be honest with you.
Wow.
People don't do what I do and aren't very weird. I mean, I was doing colon hydrotherapy at the age of 24.
What?
And haven't stopped since. Yes, and coffee enemas. So there's nothing I won't try.
This is amazing. My final question for you, Anne. This is my all-time favorite question I ask everyone at the end. So I want you, it's a hypothetical one, but I want you to imagine with me for a moment that you've been able to reach the age of 100 or beyond, whatever year that you want. But your friends have decided to put together for your birthday a film of everything you've ever said and everything you've ever done. Don't ask me how in the world they got it all. We'll call it magic for sake of argument. But they've been able to get it and show it to you on your 100th birthday or whichever birthday that's old. What do you want that film to say and to show about your life?
Probably one sentence. She did it her way. And that's the way that I outline in Radical Longevity, so that everybody can sharpen their mind, get stronger, be sexier, be more fit as the older they get. I just want to truly refine and redefine aging and make it into a period of time where you can expand your health span, your youth span, rather than become degenerate and dependent. I hate the concept of loss of independence, so we just have to redefine the whole concept of aging and become sages in saging.
Is anything missing currently in your life, Anne?
Smelling the roses is a little missing, but that'll happen this summer. And you're welcome to come to Idaho and help smell the roses with me.
I accept that invitation. I can't wait till America opens up and I'm able to travel again. But
I hope so, God willing.
This has been an amazing conversation. I wish I had more time with you. And thank you so much for coming on the Storybox podcast, sharing your wisdom, your message. People can go and get the book now. Where can people find you, connect with you, and learn more about your work?
AnneLouise.com, ANNLOUISE.com.
Thank you so much, Anne, for coming on the Storybox podcast.
Thank you. What a pleasure.